Hello there once again, welcome to Bryan Lomax Movie Talk and welcome to Hammer Time. That's right, I'm working my way through some, not all, definitely not all, but some of the Hammer movies, mostly the horror stuff. So for those who haven't seen the previous two videos in this little series, yeah, I've slipped a disc in my back, I'm on my living room floor and I'm just whittling away the hours going through this big Hammer box set that I borrowed off my brother. So this time around is Dracula Prince of Darkness. So this film is, I'm looking at Letterboxd here once again just to save me the aggro, to be honest. But yeah, this film's directed by Terence Fisher, who directed the original Dracula, the original Hammer Dracula, that is. Obviously there were other iterations of Dracula before that one, but I actually went to see Hammer's original Dracula, the first Christopher Lee one, at the cinema on a re-release with a good friend of mine, and it's a film that I do really like, really appreciate for the time. So this sequel, it's the first sequel, Prince of Darkness, as I say. It was released in 1966. Same year as Batman, the movie, for the TV series. Yeah, stars Christopher Lee as Dracula once again. Unfortunately, no Peter Cushing this time round. We do get him a little bit in the opening sequence, which is really just the final sequence of the original film. We get from Quatermass in the Pit, which I reviewed first in this series, Barbara Shelley. She makes a return to the Hammer films, which I'm happy about because I really liked her in that film. We also get Quatermass himself, Andrew Keir, as Father Sandor, and filling out the cast we've got Francis Matthews and Suzanne Farmer. So yeah, this follows two couples who are holidaying in the Carpathian mountains region, and they go into a little inn where this father, played by Keir, basically warns them to stay away from the castle, a castle that isn't even on the map, and he says that, you know, yeah, just because it's not on the map doesn't mean it ain't there, but basically it's Dracula's castle, and he warns them to stay away. Now there's this guy who's kind of working for Dracula. Dracula's dead, but this guy, what's his name now? Cannot remember his name. Clove. We'll get to him later on in this series as well. Yeah. So this guy called Clove kind of looks like Fester or someone from Addams Family. Got that dour look in his face. He's there to do Dracula's bidding and basically raise him from the dead, which is essentially what he goes about doing. And he lures these four people, these two couples, to the castle, where he kills one of them and drains his blood into this sacrificial chamber thing, whatever, along with Dracula's ashes, and it brings Dracula back from the dead. This doesn't happen until about 45 minutes into the film, 50 minutes into the film. So it's a good long while. You know, I think it's like a 90-minute film, something like that. I'll just have a quick check on that. Yeah, 90 minutes. So it's half the running time, at least, before we see Christopher Lee back as Dracula. And when we do get him back, he doesn't speak at all. Yeah, no lines of dialogue in this one. Apparently, Christopher Lee was a bit of a stickler for the source material, the Bram Stoker novel. He wanted lines of dialogue akin to something Bram Stoker would have written. He wasn't too impressed with the lines of dialogue that were written, so he just flat out refused to speak them. And yeah, just made his role a silent one. And for the most part, that's pretty effective, I think. It takes away some of the charm, I guess, that he has as a character, that he had as a character in the first one, in that original 58 movie, which was also directed by Terence Fisher. But it makes him a bit more animalistic as well, a bit more fearsome, I guess, in a way. It works for me, I think. Would I like him to remain quiet all the time? No, it'd be nice if he got a few lines, but no, better this than having him say lines that, quite rightfully, as Lee pointed out, would have been pretty atrocious. So yeah. So I like Christopher Lee in the role. I'm not as big on Christopher Lee as most people. I respect him. I've got an enormous amount of respect for him as an actor. The sheer number of films he was in, and the commitment to his craft. You know, he was quite a committed performer in many ways, in ways that people maybe don't give credit for. Stunt performer and things like that. He was quite a swordsman. Did a lot of his own work when it came to sword fights in movies, things like that. So I appreciate him on that level, but I don't quite find him as terrorizing as, say, Gary Oldman in Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula or anything like that. I'd probably take him over Bela Lugosi, though, if I'm being perfectly honest. Yeah, but supporting cast, I like Kia here as this priest, this father. So he's essentially taking over the Van Helsing role that Peter Cushing had. He's not playing Van Helsing; he's a completely different character, but he's taking over that. You know, the one who knows everything about it, the one who's going to lead the charge, so to speak. I would have preferred to have had Peter Cushing back, in all honesty, but not because of anything that Kia does wrong. I like him here. He's definitely a good, worthy replacement. It's just we lose some of that continuity by not having him here. And given that he does come back in later films, it's a shame they couldn't get him for this one, because this is a really solid sequel. I have seen all the sequels to these films. I've seen all the Christopher Lee Dracula films over the years. Some, it's been an awful long time since I've seen them, so my memories are a bit vague on them. But this is the one that always stuck in my mind, and it's probably the one I've seen most for whatever reason. Not because I just had to see this one more than most, but for whatever reason over the years it's crossed my path a few times. I've ended up watching it a few times, but I enjoy it. I do. I like the characters, the 4 characters that are on holiday. They make them likable. The one played by Barbara Shelley, Helen Kent, you get the sense she's possibly got a bit of a stick up her ass about things, but they don't overplay it the way they would in, say, a modern day horror film. They don't make you hate this person. They don't make her cold. You know, so yes, she may have a little bit of a stick up her ass, but you still get the sense that she's a person. She's still got warmth in her. There's a reason she has friends. You know, there's a reason these people are with her. So they make these characters likable. There's none of them that. Again, it's that the modern sensibility today would be to make one of these a complete and utter douche, because you know, to make you want them to die. And that kind of character in horror movies really kind of annoys me. You know, it's not to say there aren't annoying people in the world, but it's an easy thing to do, I think. Yeah, to make you root for the killer to kill her. But yeah, they don't do that here. I like the characters. I like where they go. And yeah, she's you know, she was quite a looker for a day, obviously. It's one of the reasons I chose her. But I do think she's got some talent as well. Unlike, as I said in my review for Ursula Andress, I think they chose her purely on her looks, whereas, yeah, Barbara Shelley, she does have the talent as well. Francis Matthews was quite good, I thought. So he plays Charles Kent. He is, if I'm not mistaken, I can't remember if he's the brother of Helen or the husband. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure he's the husband of, yes, of Diane Kent. That's right, yeah. They're all Kents, because it's the 2 brothers, and the 2 women are obviously married to them, so they're all Kents. very easy to remember. But yeah, there you go. But yeah, I like Francis Matthews. He makes a pretty good leading man here. I think there are some pretty horrific moments. Again, for the day, you just, I think I think, you know, when I think about horror and when I think about gore, slasher stuff, that kind of thing. Yes, I'm aware of, like, you know, 70s stuff like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, that kind of thing. But I never really think of it as getting in full swing until the 80s. You know, the gore stuff. But yeah, but you know, 60s. This is 66, and you've got, okay, it's not quite as full on as those films. Definitely, Texas Chainsaw Massacre took it to a new level. But here the gore is, you know, it's quite extreme for the day, I would say. You know, this guy being strung upside down and his throat slit, and you see all this blood pour out. You know, but yeah, given the period, I don't know. But I remember seeing these as a child. That's the thing. I remember watching them during the day with my dad. These were, I think, some of the earliest horror films that me and my brothers were ever allowed to watch. And I guess there's a certain sense about these movies that there is a cheese factor, there is a theatre-esque factor about them that I guess for some reason deems them a bit more palatable than the average horror film. But yeah, but they're still pretty full on in some ways, you know. Like when I think back to being a child and watching a scene like this. But yeah, no, I enjoyed the film. I like the ending as well. I think it builds to quite a good climax, and that scene where Dracula is kind of shot under the ice, disappears under the ice, and you see his face just kind of frozen there, kind of under the ice. Is just, yeah, it always stuck with me for whatever reason. It was a scene that, yeah, was quite memorable as a child. But I didn't remember much about this film growing up, but I remembered that scene. So yeah, it's a good way to end. And one thing I do notice about these Hammer films as well is that, like, and particularly, like, I've got another Dracula one coming up. Actually, I watched that today as well. And one thing I noticed about him is that as soon as Dracula is killed, is vanquished at the end of these movies, the credits come up. Like, there's no breathing room at all. It's just like Dracula dies, boom, credits start coming up, and it's like, okay, right, we're out. Which is, it's really bizarre to me. It's refreshing in many ways, because these days they, you know, put another 5 minutes on at the end to help us know that these characters are now all right and they're good. But yeah, you know, do you need that? Not really. Dracula's dead. The threat's been vanquished. Boom. End credits. So I kind of like that. That's quite amusing. One thing about this film that it is dated now. It's definitely dated. One thing in particular is the music. The music for me is just a bit much. It's a bit full on. You know, when they're trying to build the drama and they let loose with these, yeah, really loud sections of music that just kind of burst through the screen, and essentially all someone's doing is walking down a flight of stairs or something like that, and it's just like, yeah, really dramatic. But no, I like the atmosphere of the film as well. I enjoy it. I wouldn't say it's an absolute classic. I certainly think the original Dracula is probably better. Going off memory, I think that had a stronger kind of story to it and structure and whatnot. And I think, again, Peter Cushing in that as Van Helsing was a real strong point for me. I'm very much a fan of Peter Cushing with regards to these Hammer films. But no, this as far as sequels go, this is a strong one. I think it's good. I would give it a 3.5 out of 5. But yeah, what about you? Have you seen Dracula Prince of Darkness? And where would you kind of rank it amongst the other Christopher Lee Dracula films, if indeed you have seen the other Christopher Lee Dracula films? Leave your comments down below, good or bad. Thank you for watching this video, and until next time, cracking.